This tutorial is sponsored by the 3D Coloring Book, a project specifically designed to help empower artists who are struggling with texturing in Substance Painter and to help show you that anyone can create beautiful pieces of art with just a little bit of practice and guidance. To instantly gain access to hundreds of pre-made professional level models and hours of high quality tutorials, click the link in the description and begin your journey today.
Hello guys, I'm glad to be able to show you some of the process that I went through creating my ancient Greek temple project. It's my first time doing something like this. I don't speak English that well, so in order to explain it at the best of my abilities, but I'll try at least to show. I'll let the images talk more for themselves. Some of the key aspects of this workflow, I'll go you through 5 stages. So we'll start with acquiring references that represent the first couple of days when you get a new project. So you select your theme, you find what inspires you, and you decide on a design for your scene, for your models. This is the time when you choose what you want to model. So in the second stage we have the blocking. In this stage we are making sure that the dimensions are correct, and we will try to have the final assets planned out, what we are going to do in the next stage. So the third stage is about modeling and sculpting. We'll see the different software that we use, the workflow from low to high poly, and the baking mapping process. The next stage, which is making the materials. And in the last stage, I'm gonna see how I made this cinematic trailer. Okay, so let's start with the first stage. The references are particularly chosen in order to satisfy any need in composition, modeling, or lighting. The key shot is the main source of inspiration in designs, being this one from Tomb Raider. This is my first concept that I first seen when I started the project. So I choose the theme of ancient 435 before Christ. This is from Tomb Raider. So I have this. I like the way the light flows here through. Again, it's the same type of style, so it's a temple inside a cave. I liked this idea of a single source of light coming from a hole in the ceiling. This is a reference for the entrance. This is from God of War. Again, this is a city inside a cave, so you can see fog, you can see the smoke, you can see the way this abyss, you cannot see further. So the main thing that you feel when you see this is a massiveness, let's say. So this is what I was going through. So it's something big, it's something like you see over here. So again, one source of light coming from the top. This reference is again from God of here, fog and smoke. So when I take references, I look for as you can see, I'm just a statue that was holding. This is from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This is from where I got the idea, the main idea, with a statue holding the temple. This is for the shape of the temple. So when I'm gathering references, this is the place where I also think of the design, because I'm starting fresh, I'm starting new, so it's a blank page. But after I see the concepts and I look through the concepts, I try to make decisions. These decisions that I make in this first couple of days of the project when I'm acquiring references are vital for the whole project, because I'm not going to go back and change these decisions. So in this stage, I was thinking if I should make something like this, which is a kind of a wall temple, or something round like I did here. And as you've seen in the cinematic trailer, I chose round shaped temple. So again, lighting and atmosphere. So it's night, the inspiration for the lighting and for the atmosphere. So these are the concepts with the full frame, with the shots that I want to take. Not all the shots are relevant, but when you gather concepts, it's better to have more than to have less. After I feel like I have everything, I go and take references for the props. So I knew that being ancient Greece, I need pillars, and columns, Greek columns. So I looked and I looked online. I looked on ArtStation. So these are I like these pillars. I made this round shaped. I made this base, this cubic base, this round shape, and then the broken pillar. So you'll see this in Max after we finish with this with the first stage. So these are some references. I was looking for the way the low poly models were created, more for the density of the polygons, more columns, more pillars. These are some assets for arches. This was relevant for the pillars in the final project again. So you take more concepts than you need, and this is the stage where you settle and you plan what you want to do and what to erase. So we have doors that I didn't use. I made this pillar because I thought it was interesting. I had this in front of me when I was sculpting in ZBrush. This was references from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Again, I'm not looking just at the design of the rocks, but at the shapes, because I wanted this art shaped for the inside walls of the cave. I took this for rock formations, so I wanted to see how other artists or how a big studio integrates modular assets in formations to look that they're all different when they actually there are just 3 or 4 assets that are different, and then they just repeat themselves, but in a way that the eye cannot see the difference. Okay, the second stage is blocking. This project was constructed in Unreal Engine 4. So for blocking, I first went inside the 3ds Max and made the projects that I planned already. 3ds Max. This is a lot now, but I will talk about each asset in in order. So the first thing that I've done is I made um, low poly versions of each object. So let's start with the pillars. Okay, so the pillar had more parts. This was the base part, which which is pretty simple, as you can see. So no chamfers, no as low poly as it could, because after this step all the assets I imported in ZBrush, so there was no need for higher poly count on these objects. A little bit too. This is a little bit high poly for what you need. Is it could be totally optimized. A lot of these of these lines could have been taken out because they are too much. But be careful on the lines that give the shape. So you must look for the lines that are not important for the shape. For example, I think this line helps this curve, but not that much. Not that much as this line. So I think we are safe to erase these lines. So you see the shape is the same, but it's a lower poly count. So next for this pillar was this object, which was actually made with two symmetry. So I only made one quarter of the pillar, and then I made it symmetrical with symmetry modifier. So that's that. To get this shape, I collapsed it. I collapsed the modifier, but I used slice to slice it like this. Of course, after I go in ZBrush, the shapes will not look like this piece. And this again, it's a broken middle piece. So I try to make it as low poly as I can in this stage. I think I could have made it actually a little bit more, but in ZBrush is where I make the low and the high poly. So I don't. I care just to preserve the shape when I Z-remesh it in ZBrush. That is my main concern. So everything is modular. Everything is made broken down in pieces, so it can be rebuilt in Unreal later. So these are this is the bottom of the temple, and this is the fire pit. This was also made with lines. I made the profile with line. I'm gonna show you the stairs. So I tried to start from the blocking with destroyed look. The third stage is modeling and sculpting. So after we've done the blocking in 3ds Max, we are now looking at in ZBrush at one of the rocks. This is the big rock that I've talked about. That this was made for the walls of the cave. So the most used one for this is I put my brushes down on the bottom. The one that I use the most is Trim Adaptive, Trim Dynamic. They're really easy to use. So let's try to go into geometry. So we're gonna Z-remesh it because we don't need it with 2 million active points. So I use 2 million polygons when I'm edit the final. Let's say the final mesh, the high poly mesh, will have 2 million polygons. Okay, so now we have 13,000, so it's not that much polygons. And what I'm going to do, this is a little bit too low, but this is kind of the low poly version, let's say, that I would use. It is it is still too high, but you must consider that this is a big asset. It will be seen in the project very often, and it will occupy a big part of the scene. So it's not that of a big deal if it has more polygons, but you must know how you optimized your project, because this can slow down your frames in game a lot. Fourth stage is material creation, and we're gonna start with mapping and baking the low poly model that we exported from ZBrush. Then we're gonna map it in Rhizome UV, and the high and the low poly model will be imported in Marmoset, and we're gonna see right now. So the mapping can be done in Rhizome UV, but it can be done in 3ds Max as well. Here we have the rock that I presented earlier that we've seen in ZBrush. Now it's fully baked and with textures, but this is how it would look, the low poly, before doing anything to it. But first things first, I make a new baker, so and you will have the high and low sections. You will or the maps section, you'll hit configure and you choose normals, position, curvature, thickness, ambient occlusion. The other ones are predefined. You'll set the resolution. You'll say 16 samples. You'll choose a place where you wanna save your textures. So this is the material that I made. I had the normal, and the roughness, metalness, and occlusion will be saved in the same map with on different channels. I'll show this to you in Substance. So yeah, so this is pretty much a normal set. I bake the textures, and the next step is going into Substance, loading them here, the mesh maps. So these are straight from Marmoset and imported here. And after that, I made a smart material. So I made a smart material which is actually Substance Share. So you enter on Substance Share and you click on smart materials or simple material and you find what you need. I use this mossy rock. I have this dirt to fill these places. The base color, you can change the colors of it. I always change the projection from UV projection to triplanar projection. Okay, yeah, so after let me show you how we export it. So we go to File, Export Textures. So we have a predefined configure for Unreal Engine 4. And I go to configuration as well, and I choose Unreal Engine 4 packed. So there are only 4 textures: the occlusion, roughness, and metallic. They're all packed on the channels of red, green, and blue. So this is why in Marmoset I had the same map but with changed channels here. The 5th stage is the level dressing, the lighting, and the presentation. This is the step where we'll import the models that we exported into Unreal Engine, and I'll show you importing such an asset, how is the material looking after exporting from Substance, and then we will take a look at the scene. So we will look how the lights were set up and how the cameras were animated to make the cinematic that you've seen. But keep in mind that the program runs very slowly because it has a lot of let's say bad optimizations. Let's go into Unreal. This is the scene. I'm gonna hide the lights for now. Okay, so as you can see, it runs pretty bad because we have a really low FPS counter. But what I wanted to show is that the scene is not all around created. It doesn't look good from all the angles, because this is not a a playable level, more of a beauty shot type of scenario. So let's go a little bit around the scene and show you the way I did it. So we have the statues over here. This is the level tracing that I talked about. You see the stairs, they kind of look repetitive, and you can tell this is not a good thing. You want to make everything try to look different and natural, not repetitive. As you can see, these rocks here, they again, they look, they, you can see this is the same asset used over and over again. So let's try to, so I'm gonna go in on lit, because in this way it will run faster and we can focus on importing something. So you can see, so we go to content. I don't have the content browser down here because I want to have more space. So go to import, and we will. So what you want to import is the you want to import the low poly model. So we'll have the low FBX. You always want to use FBX because otherwise the textures won't look okay. And we will import it into Unreal. So keep in mind that 1 unit in Unreal is 1 centimeter, and I made it in meters in 3ds Max. So as you can see, it is very low. So to make it the same, we must scale it with 10. I think this is the good dimension for it, because I made it 10 times smaller than it should have been. Now I'm gonna show you the material. So we'll go here. I'll open the material. Okay, so this is the material for the as you can see, this is the map that I said it's on 3 channels. So it's for roughness, for normal, and for metallic, roughness, and ambient occlusion, AO. We're gonna for normally use the normal map, and we have the normal base color here with from the RGBA. So this is the material created from the textures exported from Substance. If we apply to it, and we will lit it again, so this is how it looks. Now we're gonna go into, I'll show you the cameras. So these are different shots. We have the key shot, we have the entrance, we have a close-up here, we have this is somewhere in between, and we'll have the sequence camera, and I'll show you immediately what I mean. So we have the sequence camera 2. I think this is where I did yes. So here is these are all the cameras that were used for the cinematic. There were a lot of them. You see, if we go here, you can change this to cinematic viewport. So you'll see, but now you go to camera cuts and you press the lock viewport to camera cuts. So you see what the cameras, you see what this line has to offer. So when you go through it, it will automatically go through them. So here are the you can see each camera if you press on this. So this is one camera. I'll show you. This is the second camera. This is the second camera. This is all this it is all this doing. Third camera. So you see the movement. So in the transform tab, there's the let me show you the first camera. So there's the points on location, on rotation, and on scale. These are the the keyframes for animating it. I made some for the for the manual focus distance as well. This is that blur effect that it gets, and the focus on the green leaves, and then regaining focus again, and same effect. So, and you do this, and you add with this, you click here and you add each camera, you make a new one from here, and then you add it to camera cuts, and it will export the camera cuts after you can, like in any video editing software, you can organize them however you want, and then you can look here at what you have, each frame, and you set the frame from here. In this case, for me it was 24 frames per second, and when you are done, you hit render and you set the resolution. And I made image sequence. It's a very good idea to use the image sequence, because in case the program breaks, which happened to me in the middle of the render, if you 24 frames per second, and you'll have an image sequence, so you have around 4,000 images, and you in Premiere you will import them as images, and then you will make a video from the images, and you must set Adobe Premiere to import the videos at just 0.4 millisecond if you want 24 frames per second. Otherwise, you will divide 1 second by the number of frames that you want. Let's say 60, that means 1 over 60, and that are how much milliseconds you want for one photo. Thank you very much for watching. This video was done because I wanted to show you a little bit of the workflow that I had for this project, and a workflow that I think it's most used when creating game assets. Thank you very much, Stylized Nation, for giving me the idea for this video, and I hope to make more in the future with better quality, better sound. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.